Now here we're going to try a nice big juicy intersection of solids question in 2012. So we have a load of bits and pieces here, and what we need to look at is, most of them are going to give in this thing here, but this is an equilateral triangle. Equilateral triangle. So all the sides are 65, and that's all this main stuff we need to know there. Now, there's a few different ways you can go about solving one of these. The two major ones you do would be either to look down along this side and see an auxiliary plan down here in order to identify all the key points, or to take vertical section planes where we slice it like this, this, and this, and this. Okay. In the solution for the marking scheme, they've taken the vertical section planes. Personally, I actually prefer the auxiliary plan, where there's a tiny bit more drawing in it. It's much clearer, so I think that outweighs it, the extra time. Okay, so let's see how we're going to do this. 130, that looks a teeny bit above, so I'll leave 150 clear from the top of the page and across. All right, so off we go. Now, there's my XY line. And of course, on A2 paper in an exam, you don't need to stress too much about where it goes, just put that in the middle. But on this stuff, it's a little bit trickier. So we need to see what can we draw first. Well, certainly a lot of the stuff down in the plan looks quite drawable. Okay, I can pick up all these key points here. I won't be able to draw that, but I'll get some location on it. So I'll start there. You know, start where you can, really. Now, the total length of this is going to be unknown. Well, that's a little bit of a nuisance, but from here it's going up at 20 degrees, so we're just going to take a little bit of a guess and start it over here. All right. Now, the plan is actually quite big. If you look at this, it's going to be 120. I'm just going to leave a 10mm gap to try and keep this tight on the page. Now, so we have 60 and 60, so we'll mark off 120, 60 and 0. And those are my key measurements there. Just send those guys across. Now, once you can fit the plan, the elevation on, you're fine. If it really goes wrong, you end up with the equilateral triangle a little bit squished over, but it's not the end of the world. Okay, so what else have we got? Well, we're going to come across by 75 to there. Okay. Grand. Bring that down. And we're back by 20 to the center of this guy here. Now, we're not entirely sure what's visible yet. I'm not really thinking about it just yet. So we'll just pop that in there and there. Nice little construction lines. These guys will go to the end, except we don't really know where the end is. Okay. Deal with that afterwards. And what else are we going to know? That this is 30 to there, which means it's going to be 30 across to there. So we just mark that off. And just throw that up as construction line. Now, can I find this distance? No, I cannot. I have that, I have that. All right. We do have a 20-degree angle. We'll bring this one all the way up here because that's going to allow us to start drawing the triangle. Here we go. Again, just take a moment. Again, I'm lining up there and there. Just it's a little easier than trying to line it up down there. 20-degree angle, so we're coming up here, getting bigger, bigger, bigger. There it is, off 160. And that's our 20 degrees. Okay, right out to the end there. Now, they very nicely told us that it is up 60. Okay, so what I'm taking here is this measurement up 60 there. So I'm just going to track that across and we'll know where this whole thing ends. Grand, this is looking like there's hope to fit it on the page nicely. Yeah, sometimes if it's a funny angle like that, you might want to make a little dot so you can see it. because that 60 is going to come all the way down here, and that is the full end of this guy. Just extend that to the bottom. All right, so this 60, indeed, it even goes up this way, and that's the end of the big prism. Okay, so we're moving along nicely. We also have 130 height. I'd mark that guy off while I'm here. I just like to get all the easy bits sorted out, and then we can worry about the harder bits. And often, the harder bits are easier once the easier bits are in place, because it begins to make sense and you can see the shape. Also a lot more satisfying. Don't underestimate that. So there we go. There's our 130 total height. I'll just bring that to there because I know it doesn't go the full way at the end. And that is going to be this tip, which is this guy. So we can go straight up from there. And we can bring this line down. It does seem to indicate in the drawing that this is going to be a nice heavy line across the edge. Okay, so sometimes they can give you these nice kind of clean lines. Something's going on there, we don't know all of these ones. And if in doubt, like this kind of thing, it's hard to see, just leave them as constructions. So that comes down to there. Goes over to this point here at 60. And up here. I want to check that the top is visible on camera. It's not. How annoying is that? Okay, so we're going to take a little moment, readjust the camera, and I'll come back to you. Now it should be a little bit easier to see. So we have all those bits going on, and of course we can draw these lines in here. And again, the more of these little bits you get in, the less likely you are to make a slip or a small mistake by just positioning something in the wrong place. Okay, time to get this done. So what have we got? We've got an equilateral triangle. It's 65 in length. Oh, that's bloody huge. So we're going to put this as close as we possibly can to here. So I'm going to pick a point right there beside it. I'll give up the starting dimensions for one of these at the end of the drawing, but there's no point in me doing it just yet. So we'll set this to 65. There we go. Now, we're going to double check that. Just when I'm drawing like this, it will make a bit of a difference. There you go. Take the time to get these things right. Okay, we know that it's 30 degrees going up from here. Okay, so there's a horizontal, there's my 30 degrees. And there we go. It's going up along there. Look at that, beautiful. And again, easiest way to get an equilateral triangle is just the two arcs. There we go. Now this is only construction, but I'm going to draw it in heavy so you can see it nice and clearly. You may not be able to see this, but there's quite a few cables knocking around this face here. So we'll just knock that little slip out of it. Okay, so there is our guy. Now, what are we going to see? Well, what we're going to find is that I'm just going to give these all some numbers. So we're going to call that 1, 2, and 3. Okay, we can begin to project these back down now. So 1 is going to be, there we go. Now we do have a small little mistake in this. Let's see how we are. Yeah, this point is just ever so slightly out. So when that's 60 millimeters up, of course it should be over a small bit. And again, this is where we're just going to do it. This, I don't prepare these. It's much more fun to do this way. I should see a gap there. Okay, so something's gone slightly wrong. That point 60 high is this, but I've taken it off the line coming up. The line coming up is somewhere else. So what do we know about this? Well, what I say is let's begin to rub out these two diagonals and see if we pick it out. And this is what we need to kind of work out and get used to as we go along. So I say these guys are off. Now this is only construction lines. It's another good reason to construction, so it's not too big a deal to leave them there where they are. What do we know about that 60? Okay, it is not on this line, and that's fine. The triangle's on this line. We're all good for that one. The worst that's going to happen is it's going to overlap slightly. Okay, but we do need to use the 60 height. So there's just a small little assumption we made that was wrong. And actually, there it is. We'll extend this over here. Okay, so what do we know? What do we know? 30 degrees. That's the bit that was missing. Okay, coming up at 30 degrees. We can see how it's off. There we are. There we go. And that gets to the 60 height. So now we have that point. Of course, the bottom one would have been right, but anyway. And there we are. So very easily fixed, as you can see, because the point was the other one that was off. That's fine. That is still there. We'll put these guys back. So about 60-second fix, not the end of the world. And as we do this, we always want to be checking our little bits of error correction. Is it matching the given drawings? Is it all kind of making sense? So we can bring this out a bit further here now. We can see that this guy comes out until that point there. Okay, now again, something's hidden, something's not. I'll worry about all that afterwards. Bring that all the way up. Okay, now that is point 3 and that is point 3. Okay, from the drawing it's clear that this is going to be a heavy line from there. So I just pop it in so we can begin to see it. And that's a heavy line. It's just in the given drawing. Okay, so 3 is going down from there, 3 to 3. Let's put in 1 and 2, and they're just parallel to that. So there's 1. And there's 2. Now, it doesn't stop here, it stops, and there is our 30 mil line, so it stops right there. That's good. So now we can draw in this end. So that's 1 and that's 2, because that's 2 and that's 1. These are all right up, straight up along here. So again, we can heavy in this from 3 up to 2. It's 2, that's 1. Again, for the moment, you don't have to do this, but I'm just going to put in a couple of little lines getting close to it so we can begin to picture as we're drawing. There we are. Right, that bit isn't so bad. And of course you can do this heavy line in here too. Why not? But what the hell does the plan look like? Okay, what we're doing here, let's do this one. This is satisfying. It looks like something's coming together. Now, what we need to do here, this guy here, all right, we've opened it up like that, all right. You see 1 is going to be the point that is visible. You're going to see that along a whole section of here, and 3 is what's left behind. So we need to see how far away these are. And we're going to do this by getting perpendicular distances. And actually, of course, that's 30 degrees, so we can just do it with this guy. No, we can't because we're rotating at 20. Yes. So that's the line was at, and we're going to hinge everything like this. So we need to see what are the gaps. So I'm going to do this in green just so we can see it a bit more clearly. So from there to there, okay, we call that D13. So D23, distance from 2 to 3. And we'll just reset that again. Bring this guy down here. All right. I'm slightly running out of page, but you can get the idea here that the distance from there to there is distance from 1 to 3. So which is which? Well, I said we're looking down on it, okay, and it is folding out. And there's an easier way to think about it though, if you can kind of get confused the way it's spinning around, because it can be a little bit weird. As I look down at this one, that's closer to that. Okay, that's 3, that's 1, that's 2. That's 2, that's 1. It's late at night. Alright, as I look down to see the plan, these two are closer together. Alright, 2 is in the middle. Alright, 3 is on this side, and 1 is all the way out here, because again the gap there to there is bigger than this one. Okay, if you can't picture the way it spins out, look at the relative gap from there compared to there. Okay, the distance from 2 to 3 is much smaller than 2 to 1. I reference everything off 1 point, it's just a bit easier to make it accurate. And that's the point I have. 30 down. So we go back and put that in. Okay, so there we are. Send it the whole way across, because 3 is on this line. It's 3 to 3. Which means that 2 is going to be this far away. There it is there. Is that what I expect? Yeah, I expect to see it just this side of the tip. That's 2, because of course this distance here is distance 2 to 3, this guy here. And then we just get the other one in place. And mine is just slightly off the page, so I'm going to measure it up here where I can see it a bit more clearly. And there we have it. And that's about right. I'm kind of about halfway down this guy here. Label. Alright, and actually as I'm looking at my drawing here, I realize this one here is a heavy line, so I'll pop that in place there. Now, throw a few heavy lines in just to get ourselves going. Weird stuff happens here, but ignore all of that. Now, something weird is happening at this end, and again, we can see this in the drawing, so that's just fine. That guy there is that guy there, which of course is 3, so that's 3. Perfect. And 1 and 2, we just project straight down. So there's 2, straight down from here, and there's 2. That's 2. And 1 is going to be straight down from here. So this is just a whole series of small little problems we're solving. Where's 1? Well, there it is. That's 1. And of course, we know from our triangle, 1 connects to 2, 1 connects to 3, 1 connects to 2, and so on. So we just piece these guys together. Pop that out of the way. Again, I'm just going to extend these for the moment. You don't have to do this. I'm just doing it to help it be a little more clear in the drawing. We'll see where they go to. Alright, so this is beginning to come in. I want to check that we're all on page clearly. We are. That's looking happy enough. Okay, so where to next? Now, sometimes before you dive into all the really difficult bits, some of these may be actually rather doable. Alright, because I know that 2 is going to contact there. Now, let's give this guy some names. I always like to vary up the names I'm going to use in these ones. So what we'll do is, I will actually use some of the same points and labels where I can on the marking scheme. But we'll call this, no we won't, because it's going to drive me mad. A, B, C, and D. Okay, we'll go with our own. So that is, of course, B and D. That is C. and that is A. All right, what do we know? We know on the face ABG, 2 contacts it there. So let's bring 2 down. That's where 2 hits. It's going to go in underneath, and I can see it already from here. 2 is going to tuck in underneath there. So 2 is going to continue along like this. And normally I leave the hidden ones to the end, but I can actually put it in there. That's 2. Okay, what else have I got? Well, 1, and I just kind of reuse some of these points because it does get very tricky otherwise. 1 comes all the way down. Again, 1 contacts the face, you can see it, ABG, this triangle, contacts it here. So we'll just go in until we disappear. There's a tiny little dashed line there. And the same with 3. 3 is going to be even further in. It's going to be in here. You can pick up quite a few marks just getting these little guys in place. Identify the point clearly, put a little dot on it so you're showing you know it. There we go, little dashed line. And that of course means that these guys are visible. There we go. So already we've got a few bits and pieces. And again, what we'll see is, of course, we know that as this goes in, 1 connects to 2, connects to 3, just like we have our little triangle. So we can put these in dotted lines. It's 1 whole continuous face, ABG. So there's no need to actually, we don't have any bend points or any weird stuff happening here. All right, we have all those guys, that's fine. And something else is going to happen as we go across it. There is actually an edge there, B2D, you might spot. I'll pop it in as a hidden edge. It's an edge in reality. Now, the hidden lines are not the biggest concern of yours to have really at this stage. It's really about trying to get the main drawing. So the fun stuff is going to happen over on this side. For some reason, it always is the right side. So let's see, can we draw this? Now, this is going to be this big, so it will fit there, but I do need to be fairly close. So we're going to extend this line. We're going to look down along the triangular prism. There it is. In order to see the triangular prism as a triangle, therefore we'll see all the intersection points and bend points more easily, and we'll solve it. That's the idea. Works great. Get that out of the way. So again, I want to use that movement there. It is a pretty big drawing, so I'm going to go fairly close. I'm just going to see if, there, yeah. Okay, on A2 you should be okay, but I'm going to bring this in fairly tight and run the risk of a very small overlap here. I'll go there. Okay. And the thing is, these, if you're ever doing them and you practice in A3, often all the action is in the center. So even if some of the edge bits go out, it's not necessarily the end of the world. X1, Y1, tell the examiner what you're doing. Okay, so I'll do the triangle first to make sure I'm doing everything right, because it should look like an equilateral triangle. If I get that right, happy days, off we go. So let's go and figure out this. There we are. That's 1, and that's 2. Okay, how far they go? Projecting from the elevation, we're taking the distance from the plan. Now, in this case, sometimes you can actually measure them straight off. Like 3 is down a 10 mil gap and 30 from the drawing. So 3, you can just measure it sometimes. Is this handy? There's 3. The other 2 we're going to need to use a compass. So we are going from the XY line down to where it is in plan. That's 2. That's 2. And 1 is going to be further away. This one we get a bit upset if this goes off the page, but it is looking promising. And there we go. 1, 2. That looks like an equilateral triangle. I'll draw it in now. You can draw it in heavy. It's definitely going to be visible because we're looking in from the end. And we are off on a roll. Okay, so now we just got to get ABD in. So sometimes people think, oh gosh, an auxiliary plan, is there a whole load of work? It's not really, because there's only 4 points to bring in here. So we'll line this up, bring them all in. There's B and D on the one thing. A is all the way up here. And C is over there. I have to do a bit of an extension here. It's quite a big drawing. There's C. We'll just extend that line across because it'll be somewhere in the middle. Okay. Where are all these guys? That's 10 down. That's another 120, so it's 130 down. I'm just going to put the measurements in on these guys. May as well make life a bit easier. So B and D are my 10 mil gap, 120 from the drawing. D is further away, that's D, that's B. C is 60 plus 10, so it's 70 down. C, so again, I'm taking these distances over to here, and A is exactly the same as C. So that's as easy just to measure it again. You can project up if you like. There's A. Okay. A connects to B, B to C, C to D, and so on. A to B. Do we have an AD yet? We do have an AD line, so I'll put that in there. It's decently heavy because you can see that there's nothing going to intersect it. Make it nice and heavy so it's clear. B and D do connect as well. That's fantastic. What about C? C is there, so I will see this little triangle going in here. So remember, we are looking in from this end. Okay. Yep, so we'll see it there. And what's my missing one? A to C connect. And I'll see that, and that's going to go through my drawing. So that's going to have a bit of a cut in it. Okay, now check our camera, see we're all happy. We are indeed. Now, it's a long drawing, but we'll get through it. So, what have we got? On the front, I have these two points here. Okay, so let's just call them P and Q. Okay, these two are the bend points on the front. And then I've just got to find out where the rest of them are. So I don't think we're missing anything. Of course, we do have our standard problem. Both 1, 2, and 3 are all off floating out in the air, which is a bit of a nuisance. So we need to go and do some radial elements. Right, well, I'll project P and Q back and figure out where they are at least. Again, figure out what stuff is, pick up a few easy marks and all of that. So, get our lines up here. P and Q are both on the AC line. So, let's bring that up here. Grand. That is P. And that's Q. Won't quite make it, so we'll just extend that. Be careful from these big long extensions, small errors can begin to magnify themselves. And that there is Q. Okay, so yeah, as we look, and you can see, we'll actually see this as a heavy line. All right, because that line is fully visible. Remember, when we are looking at this one, we are looking in from here, up there to see the elevation. So I'm seeing AD. So we're looking in this way to see the elevation. You're getting used to this kind of method of how we're looking around them. That's to see the elevation. Then the hidden lines become really clear. So I know I'm going to see this. 2 is going to be hidden somewhere in there. Deal with that afterwards. Okay. Now, as that goes in there and it begins to disappear until we find 2. And Q, as we look this way, we will see C to Q. can see the way it's beginning to take shape, so that'll disappear in there. Okay, now once we've got them, we may as well get them in plan. Again, relatively easy marks just to project down and find them. P is on this line here, A to C. It takes a second to find it, and your marks will build up as you locate all the points in the different places. So there we go there, and there we go there. Now I think I jumped the gun in deciding that was a filled in. So we'll just have to knock that out. So I can see that as we come down here, it's going to disappear at P. No big deal. Okay, if in doubt, leave them out. Now, what have we got next? Okay, let's find 1, 2, and 3. Right, radial elements. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come through these. Now, I can't get it. This is pretty straightforward. I have to come from one of the other ones. So I'm going to come from, let's see, I'm going to come from Q. I'm going to come from B here. And let's have a think about this. Find the nicest one. So with a few options, what I can do is I can come from B through to 3 and find it on AC. It's easier if we can see this. We'll start with this one here. We'll get this over here. Get 1. No, I'm going to go this way because, and the reason is if I go this way, I'm coming at a very tight angle, which means I'm increasing my error. I'll come from C across here. And it'll work in all the different ways. So there we go. We're going to call that X. We found there. 1 is on the line from C to X. X is square. Line that up carefully. I'm checking at the other end, make sure it's lined up nicely. X is on, what am I looking for? A to D. A to D is that line there. There we go. And that is X. So we'll rebuild the line from X to C. We'll do that in our orange just so you can see it. So I'm rebuilding my radial element. 1 is on that line, 1 is on this line, 1 must be there. So there we have it. That's 1. And that I've written 1 as actually this point here, so just knock that out. Okay. Grand. I'll worry about what we can see afterwards. There's 1. Same thing for 2 and 3. So let's see. I'll come from B up here. There we go. So this point is going to be point Y. Here we go. What's that on again? That is on A to C, so there it is. A to C, Y, so A to C. And now we'll just rebuild the second line. So there's Y. And that came from B, which is here. There we go, that's a nice angle on that. Okay, there's my second radial element. We know the line we're looking for 2 is on that. We can see, there we go. There is 2. We'll mark that in. Okay, third one, 3. Yes, I was trying to figure out where to get 3 from. I think I'm going to go across this way. And we'll pick it up there. I'll call that point Z. That's actually right on the projection line for Q. So that is on AB, which is this line again. There. That's Z. Z to C. Okay, this isn't as good an angle as the other ones, but we'll go with it. We're into it now. And it just has a context 3, which is this. So you can see the way it's a little harder to see exactly where the point is, but we'll call it there in the middle. Okay, now, what the hell does this look like? Well, before I go into the trickier bit, I'm just going to pick up my easy marks. 1 is there, so let's just project this down, and it also might be easier to solve. Okay, so 1 is down here. 2 is really close to it. Just having a slight wobble on that, so I'm double check it with this guy. There we go. Okay, and as you're doing these projections, you're watching for them all to be parallel. That was 2, yeah, good. And there's 2. And what else do we get? We got 3. 3 is going to be out here. So now we really have all the hard work done. Well, we have all the grunt work done, now we have the hard work to do. So what's our sequence? Okay, on this side, our sequence is literally going to be 1 to P to 2 to 3 to Q to 1. All right. So I know I'm going to see 1 to P. So where are we on? 1 to P. P is over here. So we'll see that. All right. Then P to 2 is going to be hidden away. So that goes over here and that's hidden. And if you're just doing these as connections and not getting the hidden bit, don't worry, okay? Just try and aim to get the connections, but the sequence, you still pick up quite a lot of the marks. Okay, that's over here. Then 2 is going to go to 3. And I'm looking this way to see the elevations. That's definitely tucked away behind. 2 to 3. Okay, 3 to Q. 3 to Q is still hidden. Okay, up here. This is a weird shape, but that's okay. We have a system, we have a plan. That's to Q. Q goes to 1. I'm going to see that, okay, because I'm looking in this way and I'll see it tucked in away there. So Q to 1, where am I going? Q to line 1 there. Okay. Now, actually, I need to be careful because 1 isn't really there, right? That's the point we found. Remember, it's the one on that line from C to X. So, all the way back here. And actually, that makes sense when you look at it. We're going to see this coming in like that. Okay, so we see all of that face there. And then this is the slightly darker one underneath. All right. Now, and 1 to P. Did I connect? Yes, I did connect that. All right. Okay. So, what else we got? Now we might be missing 1 or 2 pieces. We'll come back and pick those up after. So definitely there's something going on up there. But you can kind of see that that's where it'll tuck in behind. Okay, just 2 goes in behind there. Okay, let's come down here. Same sequence, same thing. Now, I'm looking down to see the plan. All right. So, just check we're all clear. Yes, we're happy in our video. So what are we going to see? Well, I'm definitely going to see 2 to P. Okay, so let's start. Well, we started the same sequence. Let's do 1 to P. 1 to P is definitely visible. There it is, 1 to P. Okay, P to 2, also going to see it. Here we go. Knock that piece square out of the way again. 2 to 3, looking down, I'm going to see it. Okay, 3 to Q, definitely not going to see that. So where did Q decide to end up? Q is all the way over here. Okay. All right, Q to 1, also not visible. That kind of makes sense as you can see the pattern coming out here. One back to P. We haven't done that. Okay, so we get that whole little sequence. Now we still have a bit of tidying up to do, so that's going to be visible up to, let's have a look at it, coming down, down, down the plan. So we're going to see, it's actually a little bit tricky to see that in the plan. Let's have a look. That's D to C. We will see it it's going to begin to disappear on us. So actually we are going to have that line 1 from there to there. So as we look down, we'll see 1 to 1, so we'll see this. Okay, we have that. Now you can see we're going to see this, and it's going to disappear underneath. And that's this edge here underneath this guy. Sometimes you can just kind of figure it out by, if that's a heavy edge there, and that goes in under it, well, it has to disappear. We have pretty much the same thing on the other side. So where is 3? 3 is there, that's there. So we will see it until that point, because I can definitely see it here, definitely can't see it here. So that's where it changes. Again, can definitely see it, something changes, so that must mean I can't see it. Right, what else we got? We've got that as well, one face there, that is in there, that's in there. So I think we're looking pretty good. We have that little guy going on there. Oh, we do have 2. Yeah, 2, we can see 2. Now this is tricky. We can actually see 2 the whole way along. All right, so 2 is going to be heavy all the way to there, because it's going to be the whole way in until it hits. We'll see it. So that is a heavy line along there. Right, now that side is all done. Let's have a little look up here and see if we left anything out. B-2 in there. And I want to say something is missing here. Oh yes, you can see the lines. There we are. 3. Okay, so what's happening with 3? Well, it's a solid edge up until there. It's just behind this one. It's in around there. So it's hidden there to there. That's all we're looking for. I think that's kind of the hardest part, picking out these little hidden edges. You get used to them after a while, but it's not where the core of the work is. The core of the work is figuring out where the points are and then using the sequence to connect the points. All right, and there we are with the whole thing there. You can see that this, of course, is our underlying face there. A little bit of shading for that. Stopping there, and there re-emerges here. You can see it. You don't need to visualize these guys to do them. It helps, but you don't need to. All right, and there is our lighter top face. Of course, that one did stop just there. So you can see, and that's our top face here. Goes in, turns there. This is quite tough. I say this is about as tough as you'll get in a Leaving question for an intersectional solace question, but it's a very satisfying one. And once you're slow and steady and methodical at it, it comes out quite nicely. All right. Okay, enjoy.